Black Goose TV family, what's good with it? Fluence motherfucking boxing is in the building again. It's Monday night. It's March 7th, 2022. What's good with it, y'all, man? I'm here to give y'all a fire stream, hopefully, or at the very least, man, let's talk that boxing talk. You know what I'm saying? I got some things that I want to touch on. You know what I'm saying? I got some opinions that I want to share. And hopefully it makes some people mad. Hopefully it makes some people happy. And hopefully it makes others just want to go ahead and rock with your boy. So before I get into all of the goodness, all the nitty gritty, all the boxing shenanigans, why don't y'all go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and as always, hit the notification gang. And most importantly, please get up in that comment section for the algorithm. Get me into the algorithm. You look, I've been told y'all, Black Goose TV family, we trying to pop off this year. We're really trying to make a little bit of noise in the boxing community when it comes to this channel, because we a little bit different when it comes to perspective based, at least in my opinion. So please, if you're rewatching it, if you're watching it now, whatever it may be, like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And let's get right up into it. But now that that's all out of the way, we can get right up into this thing. It's Monday, y'all. So obviously it's the beginning of the week. I'm going to be 100 with you. There's no crazy breaking news. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing, that's hitting the boxing atmosphere right now where, we got to be necessarily putting our eyes to and, paying like intensely detail and perception to all that good stuff. That's not the case. But I do have some things that I do want to touch on, and it's very simple. It's very simplistic. Y'all can see it in the title below what I'm going to be touching on. We're going to be touching on a very interesting topic, the love triangle pause, or, all this bullshit going around when it comes to the welterweight division. Okay. And that's something that I haven't talked about as of recent. I feel like as of lately, I've been talking a lot about, the whole Canelo situation, Josh Taylor's actually a lot of boxing and boxing fighters that are kind of outside of the, I guess you could see the PBC world kind of. I haven't really talked about no PBC drama really as of late. And there's no particular reason for that, of course. Let me make sure. Okay, we good. That was a little bit of feedback. Excuse me for that. It's funny. As soon as I want to get, started and want to get going, it's getting a little hot to me. I had the whole jacket on because it was a little hot up in this joint. But it was a little cold. But I haven't really, touched on the PBC side of the game as of late. You know what I'm saying? I've been kind of focused in some other directions and some other areas when it comes to the channel. But I thought today would be a perfect time, a perfect opportunity for me to touch on the whole situation when it comes to the PBC side of the game, as well as the welterweight division, because it's only necessary. Like, think about this. Like, when you think about last year, I felt like one of the most talked about topics, or at least one of the most, excited divisions, was that lightweight 135 division, because of everything that was going on last year, with, before Ryan Garcia had the injury, we were going crazy for Ryan Garcia because of the whole Luke Campbell situation. And then we was going crazy about, Tank Davis. And then we was going crazy about Loma. Then we was going crazy about Lomachenko. We was going crazy about Devin Haney. All these rumors going around where we might actually end up seeing fighting. It really started in a pandemic in 2020, where all of a sudden we thought we were going to see these firefights before we, before the pandemic, no one speculated the possibility of like Teofimo Lopez versus Devin Haney, or Gervonta versus Ryan Garcia, and all these different type of things. But because of the pandemic, all these rumors started to come about where we thought this was going to happen. We also saw a lot of step up in competition in the 135 division. And so, we got so excited for it. So I feel like, 2020 was the year of the lightweight kind of, and kind of went into 2021. We were still, really excited about the lightweight division and things going on with it. And then I think kind of the torch was taken because when we saw, the fall, because I said last year, Luke Campbell was Ryan Garcia. That was in 2020. Excuse me. He's been out since then. But so 2020 was like the year of the lightweight, and it kind of leaked into that 2021. And then I thought 2021, for a brief second, it seemed like we were kind of going to shift back to welterweight, because welterweight's always, I say in the last 5 years, has kind of been our main focus, other than the heavyweight division, since the the coming of Tyson Fury and AJ and Deontay Wilder. So I thought lightweight kind of took the torch from heavyweight, but it was kind of welterweight division for the last 5 years. We've always had so much attention to. Obviously, Floyd has a big part of making the welterweight division so prominent, et cetera, et cetera. Well, what am I getting at? What am I saying? What am I talking about? Well, last year I thought there was a transition from the lightweight hype and things like that, and it kind of switched back to the heavyweight side of the game, but it also went to Canelo. I put Canelo in his whole entire own category and his whole entire own topic. So as of now, I really think that we've kind of gotten off the heavyweight train, the heavyweight ride. You know what I'm saying? Because nothing's definitive. We've seen AJ lose a couple times. Usyk's now in the ball game. Wilder versus Tyson Fury trilogy is over. Now it seems like boxing is trying to find that new avenue for all of us fans to kind of latch on to again. Because like I said, it was the heavyweights 3 years ago. Then it was lightweight. And then now it's transitioning into kind of like the Canelo side of the game, where it's like everyone's, who's Canelo going to pick next? Who's Canelo? But through all of this, what am I saying? What's my point? Get it together, Fluence. Tell us, what are you talking about? My whole point behind this is the fact that the welterweight division, one of the most prominent divisions, and with this being a prominent division, it being basically ruled by the PBC side of the game, it kind of fell off in the sense of this was the division where all of the hype started to overcast and overshadow the actual fights being made. And I think a big part of that, you have to blame it. It has to go to PBC. I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, Terence Crawford ducking, all this type of stuff. But at the end of the day, if you understand the business model of PBC, then you understand that the hardest, then you understand that PBC is not going to take any step backs. They're not going to have what's the correct word for it? Compromises, nothing like that when it comes to them making a deal with someone outside of their promotion. It has to make completely and utterly sense. And that's why we've only kind of seen them step outside of the promotion with the Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury trilogy, because of course you can't pass that up. That's a once in a lifetime type thing. So now we're in this box where the welterweight division, we looked at it as such a skilled division at one point, right? But a lot of those guys were in the PBC side of the game, quote unquote. I never agreed with that aspect. But if you talk to a lot of boxing fans will tell you all the best welterweights are over at PBC, right? So that's what the general public will say. But that has dwindled down in the aspect of paying attention, or at the very least giving the credit where credit is due to an extent, however you want to phrase it. That has kind of been drawn away because of the difficulties of the fight that we want to see being made. You see what I'm saying? So in other words, we're starting to see PBC, when we're talking about the outside looking in, people are starting to open their eyes. Okay. And that's where now Errol Spence, Keith Thurman, Ugas, and Terence Crawford now all fall into place, right? So let's tie this thing all together. We got Ugas versus Spence coming up. Okay, this is a big fight, a very big fight. A lot of things on the line when it comes to this, more so than just the belts, okay? We're talking about technically whoever wins this fight is going to be the face of future of the welterweight division, as of or via PBC. But regardless, the face of the welterweight division is anybody in PBC. That's what it is. That's what they've built. You know what I'm saying? And you got to give it to their marketing, and you got to give it to the money they put behind the promotional company in order to make people believe that there's always going to be the best welterweights at PBC. Anyways, aside from that, there's a lot of things on the line for this particular fight. Now, previously, I don't think it's as much or as big. And this is another thing. It was a big blow for Errol Spence not to get the Pacquiao fight because of the whole, situation that he went through, the car crash and thing, or I'm sorry, re-injuring his eye. So I think there was more pressure, more implications, more things on the line for him to fight Pacquiao, but less of the thought in our head of, Spence might lose, right? Here, the pressure's a little bit shifted because I feel like even if Spence beats Ugas, we're still going to be looking at his perspective of, especially since our eyes have been opened up, thank God. Not everyone's eyes have been fully opened up. Obviously, we still have the PBC fanboys out there, blah, blah, blah. But the majority or the few minority who do understand the game, they're going to say, hey, you beat Ugas. That's a tough fight. That's a difficult fight. Most people don't want that fight. People have a lot of hard time fighting Ugas. But we're still saying, where's the Terence Crawford fight? I think if Spence would have fought Manny Pacquiao and beat Manny Pacquiao, people wouldn't have that stance. It would be the exact opposite. Everything would be reversed. If Spence still got the Pacquiao fight, he beats Pacquiao, I think everyone would be saying, Terence Crawford, now it's on you, buddy. It's all on you, which people, majority of Crawford's career, I won't say majority, but when he made the move to 147 and he proved to be elite at 147, right away, people were saying, you need to fight Spence in order to prove yourself and be that guy, right? That was the narrative through that kind of, tenure that he had with Top Rank when he was fighting at 147, okay? Obviously, his tenure with Top Rank was much longer than that. He was, multiple weight class division, but we're focused on welterweight, right? So I personally think, I truly do believe that if Spence would have ended up fighting Pacquiao and he would have beat Pacquiao like everyone expected him to do so, we would have been looking at all of this completely different. Spence would have been on his high horse. Everyone would be saying Spence is the best welterweight in the world. Who, you know, he can fight whoever he wants. He can call whoever he wants. But Terence, it's on you. Terence, you need to do whatever you need to do to make sure you get that fight, because now it proves that you've been ducking. Because look, Spence beat Pacquiao, but somehow by the boxing gods, and I won't say the boxing guys because, you know, that sounds pretty insensitive because nobody want to wish injury on anyone. But the way things just went, Spence got injured. Pacquiao ends up fighting Ugas. People still expected Pacquiao to beat Ugas, but obviously he didn't. Everyone, you know, who watched boxing knows how good Ugas is. You know, Ugas beats Pacquiao, and then we have the Sean Porter Terence Crawford fight, right? And that kind of came out of the blue. Who would have thought that was going to happen? And I've already kind of had a video on this and talked about this. Remember, guys, PBC, I know you guys say, okay, but wait, you just said PBC never, you know, does the cross promotional type thing, the blah, 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 you know, it was only with Wilder and Tyson Fury. The only way they're going to do it has to make sense, right? Well, this does make sense. I've already kind of touched on this. Sean Porter, he said himself he was going to retire, whether he won, lost, draw. It doesn't matter what the case was. He was going to retire. I'm pretty sure PBC already knew this. Sean Porter was probably already thinking about retiring before the Terence Crawford fight. That's what he alluded to. But I'm pretty sure once, you know, Bob Arum came with this offer with Terence Crawford, this was one time PBC was like, okay, we'll go ahead and take this. Sean Porter's already going to retire. We don't really have another fight lined up for him, or a fight that's worth it to him to, you know, go ahead and get us, you know, get him another bag and also make us another bag. We're pretty sure if we, you know, present him Terence Crawford, obviously we're not going to be able to get the full share of the actual money that we can make if, you know, he fights someone in-house, but we're still going to be making something off of that rather than not making anything at all and Sean Porter just retiring. See what I'm saying? Or Sean Porter fighting someone he knows he can beat, and now we don't make any pay-per-view. Because remember, Terence Crawford for Sean Porter was pay-per-view. Even the little bit they sold is still something, you know? Because I don't think they put too much promotion in. I don't think they put too much marketing or promotional money in that particular fight. But, so, and they didn't too. Also, remember this, that you were only able to buy that particular pay-per-view through the app, the ESPN app. So that tells you right now, that tells you right there that PBC obviously cut a deal where Top Rank was able to host it. Basically, they probably cut a deal where Top Rank spent all the marketing, all the promotional money, putting everything together. The dollar spent was more so on Top Rank side, and then PBC was probably just like, okay, we'll pay Sean, you know, we'll make sure he's good, and then whatever backing comes from the pay-per-view, we split it 50-50 or something like that. So actually, that's a better deal for PBC because PBC really isn't putting any money out there when it comes to anything outside of paying Sean, right? This is all my speculation. I'm just thinking. But what is my point of saying this? My point of saying is, once again, going back, that's the reason why we saw Sean first, Terence Crawford. It was a much higher reward than there was a risk for PBC because of the, you know, the details and the reasons why I just named. So, you know, with that being said, you know what I'm saying, let me tie all this together for you. You know, Terence Crawford ends up fighting Sean Porter and beating Sean Porter. And so now the tide switch, right? The tide switch, because all of the Terence Crawford fanboys, I won't lie, I'm one of them. Now we can say, well, look what Terence Crawford did to Sean Porter, and look what Errol Spence did to Sean Porter, right? Obviously, one of the worst things to do is boxing mathematics, or to say, look how this guy beat this guy. But it is what it is, right? It's one of the main things us as fans go to when we want to try and say our favorite boxer is better than your favorite boxer. Let's just play the game, okay? It's just all part of it. So, you know, hey, I say to the person, look, now everyone's saying, hey, look what Terence Crawford. And so now there's the people who didn't watch, the people who are on the fence about Terence Crawford but leaned toward Errol just simply because their promotional company is so much more stronger and superior in the fact of that weight division. Now they're looking at taking a step back and they're saying, whoa, wait, is Errol really that good? Is the 147, the welterweight division over in PBC, really that good? Or have I been fooled? Like, I'm not sure. And now see, you have it. So now you have the Terence Crawford fan base, the people behind him. Now they have more strong. Now they feel stronger. They got all this ego behind them, and now they're like, I told y'all. So there's more of a demand in that side of the case, and also it makes Terence Crawford look like, well, was he really ducking him? Because if he just fought Sean Porter and everybody was raving how good Sean Porter was, and he's one of the best PBC welterweights, and he just did that to Sean Porter, huh? So now you had the people who were cut in the middle and didn't know about Crawford. Now they're like, well, now I want to see this fight, right? Right. Now you're developing more eyes. And now the people who was going for Errol, you can still rock with Errol and have all these different excuses. But now even in the back of your mind, you're saying, well, was Terence Crawford really ducking Errol? And guys, remember, I hate using duck. I hate using that word put in the title, but it is what it is. Clickbait, all that type of stuff. It's YouTube. You know, whatever. Let's have fun with it. But at the end of the day, you guys know how I feel. There's no such thing as ducking. The only person who ever ducks is the promotional side of the game. It's the business. If it doesn't make money, it doesn't make sense. Therefore, we're going to duck. It has nothing to do with the fighter being scared of another fighter or scared of losing. You know what I'm saying? You don't train that hard and get to that point to be scared of losing. Anyways, so that's a whole nother thing. So now what this does, it changes everything to an extent, right? This is my head, my opinion, how I'm looking at things, and just kind of looking at the atmosphere, you know what I'm saying? And so you're looking at this and you're saying, okay, Errol, now, can you really beat Terence? Is Terence really the one that's stuck in Errol? I'm not exactly sure. So where do we see the narrative that's switched now? We see Errol Spence about to fight Ugas, and what's the questions that are coming up against him now, or what are the questions that are being asked to him? Are you going to take the Terence Crawford fight after this? Is Terence Crawford in the atmosphere for you? Is Terence Crawford something that you would want to make happen? Is Terence Crawford? Terence Crawford? Even the fans are asking, hey, what about Terence Crawford? Hey, when's that's going to happen? All this different bullshit. So it's switched. The narrative is switched when before it was the exact opposite. Everyone was asking Terence Crawford, when are you gonna, you're gonna fight Errol next? Like, what's going on? So there was a perception or an idea amongst, most of the boxing fans that, and rightfully so, because the brilliant marketing behind PBC, that Terence Crawford, when are you going to fight him? Why are you avoiding him? And now there's been a slight switch where everyone's asking Errol, and not saying, they're not going as hard as him as they did Terence. They're not saying he's avoiding Terence, but they are asking him the question now, when before they necessarily weren't. They would kind of just ask and leave it alone. Now it's like, boom, where's Terence? It's a constant type thing, and everyone's like, yo, why is this fight not happening? Especially with Terence Crawford being in the position he's in right now, where he's a free agent. Obviously, him having a lawsuit with Bob Arum isn't the best look for him, but at the same time, him being a free man, there's no reason why certain fights can't be made, right? So that's just the facts of things, okay? Now, where does Ugas and Thurman come into play, right? Obviously, Ugas come into play because Errol Spence versus Ugas is coming up. So obviously, number one thing, Errol has to get past Ugas. And that's not easy. That's not an easy task. That's not a give me fight for Errol, right? That's a tough fight. Obviously Errol did an absolutely magnificent job against Danny Garcia. All right, to me, I was surprised. I thought it was going to be a much tougher fight for him, if you want to be 100 with you. I thought that was going to be a tough fight when he fought Danny Garcia. At the very least, I thought it was going to be, I thought at least Danny was going to win at least 3 to 4 rounds. I guess that's not a tough fight, winning only 4 rounds, but that's what I thought. But Danny Garcia, he lost every round, goddammit. So I was impressed. I can't deny that, right? Ugas, he's better than Danny. Simple as that. Ugas is a better fighter, better boxer than Danny, right? And it's been shown that in 2 key fights. Obviously, the first go-to one you want to go to is not the Pacquiao fight, it's the Sean Porter fight. Please rewatch the Sean Porter fight. Ugas gave Sean Porter a whole lot of trouble. And to my opinion, I actually thought Ugas edged Sean Porter in that fight. I thought he should have won by split decision. Okay? I thought Ugas had his fight was just as close as Errol Spence. Ugas did the same exact thing Errol Spence did, right? In the later rounds, he knocked down Sean Porter, which should have secured him the win, but the ref called it a trip. Go back, look at that. It wasn't a trip. My opinion. Y'all can disagree with me. I'm here to trigger people. I don't care. But Spence did the same thing. In the last, the 10th round, 11th round, obviously he hit him with that beautiful hook, dropped him. Obviously, let's not say drop in that particular sense. The only person who's really dropped Sean Porter is Adrian Broner and Terence Crawford. But, got him down to his knee, got that 10-8, and he won the fight. But without that happening, we would have all said, I don't know who won that fight. Sean Porter can possibly get it. It would have been the same kind of scenario as Ugas versus Spence. Whoever wins, I'm not mad at it. All right? So that's one testament. Let me salute the people. What's good with his Zen? By the way, y'all make sure y'all stay. After this, when I get up out of here, we got Zen and Fluence podcast happening later tonight. Spence afraid of that boy Crawford. A lot of people share the sentiments. And a lot of people share the opposite sentiments as well. But I see the tide turning, obviously, because of, what I just kind of explained earlier, and how the kind of, the events have led up to, the Spence and Ugas fight, finally happen. I don't think that fight will ever happen. So he doesn't think Terence versus Spence will ever happen. I think it's going to happen at some point. It has to. There's just too much money on the table for it not to. At some point, it has to happen. John McSmith, nice fresh topic. Spence versus Crawford. Yeah, I feel you. It's not the most freshest topic in the world, but something I wanted to speak on. I wanted to give my own, type of opinion on an analyst. I understand. If you're not feeling it, you can go ahead and just get up out of here. Makes things a lot more smoother. Salute to you, though, John McSmith. Zen wins. I don't want to hear no Spence fans saying nothing. He's dodging smoke. Look, this is what I want to say to this whole situation. So it's like what makes things the most like what makes things interesting to me personally, in my opinion, when it comes to this particular subject, right, is the narrative, right? I want to go back to John. Nice fresh topic. Spence and Crawford. Okay, it's not a fresh topic to him because I put money on it and he has a very one-dimensional mindset. Or look at it. You can look at all the other boxing YouTubes who may talk about it, but they're not going to talk about it the way I'm talking about it. I'm going to be 100 with it. So that's just what the facts is. You know what I'm saying? That's just what the facts is. And that's what I'm speaking on. Look, Ugas is a tough fight for Spence. I know that's been said. I know we know that. But let's just look at the tape and let's look at what we can kind of, compare this to and be like, okay, why would you even take this aspect of this opinion? One, obviously, the most important one is the Sean Porter fight, right? That's the main thing we can look at. The second, obviously, is going to be the Pacquiao fight. It's hard to really look at the Pacquiao fight like that, obviously, because Errol never fought Pacquiao. But what Ugas did to Pacquiao in comparison to what Thurman did to Pacquiao, and look, this is coming from a Keith Thurman fan. I'm the hugest Keith Thurman fan, but at the same time, what Ugas did to Pacquiao and what Thurman did to Pacquiao shows styles makes matchups. Thurman has always been a guy who fought on his back foot, used his jabs, used the ring, used his feet, and then looked to land the right power punch when he has you kind of following in his rhythm. Ugas has always been, he's a traditional Cuban boxer. If you understand Cuban boxing, fundamentals. Now, it all depends on what part of Cuba. You either have the fundamentally sound boxer where everything is tight guard, perfect footwork, use your jab, straight punches, block, everything just perfect, right? Just drill. And then you have the other type of Cuban style where it's a little bit more flashy, using your feet, beautiful head work. Ugas comes from that fundamentally sound Cuban background boxing. And so that's why it was so tough for Pacquiao, because someone who's a bigger fighter and understands that is going to throw a guy like Pacquiao off, who, think about what Pacquiao did to Thurman. I know Pacquiao's style isn't like Ugas, but Pacquiao came forward, forced the aggression against Thurman, was able to get a close split decision, even though I didn't think he won. So what am I saying? Ugas' style and Spence's style is actually more similar than you think. What's good with it, Mini Mills? Salute to you. By the way, bro, I got your email. Don't worry. I got your email. I haven't replied to it yet, but I got your email. I did, but I'm gonna reply to you. I got you, John McSmith. Fair enough, my man. Yeah, appreciate you. Hey, we real up in this thing, man. So I appreciate you understand where I'm coming from, man. Come on, man. Just kind of, it's Monday, goddammit. It's Monday. We in here to have fun, watch some shit. It shouldn't be that serious. But anyways, so let me get back to my point. Kind of lost my train of thought. But anyways, the reason why Ugas and Spence is such an interesting fight is because they actually have a lot of similarities when it comes to how they fight, right? Spence is a come forward guy. Now, lately, he's been doing a good job of utilizing his jab more so. But at the end of the day, there's going to be pressure from Spence. He's going to put you on your back foot. He's going to want to control the ring. He's going to want to cut you off. And he wants to get close enough where he's going to be able to get you to want to exchange, because he always feels like if you exchange with him, he'll get the better of you. I don't care if you're bigger, you're faster, you're smaller, you're slower. It doesn't matter to him. If he gets you where you're in your ego and you want to exchange and he got you pressed up against the ropes or he got you on your back foot, he's going to win the fight. That's Spence's style. What's Ugas' style, right? It's not necessarily to get you on the back foot or pressure you, but it's for him to control the tempo and to control the pace and control where his opponent is, right? Which is very similar. So what Ugas is going to do, he's not going to overextend himself, or he's not going to put himself in a position where he feels like he's out of position. You feel me? Where he's off balance, or he feels like he can't get off a certain punch. So that means there's going to be times where if Spence is pushing the pressure, Ugas will stay stagnant and he will sit there and be ready to exchange. The thing is, I actually think Ugas is one of those guys that can exchange with Spence and it not be a problem, because Ugas' defense is so goddamn tight. And so that's what I'm going to be interested to watch. And I'm going to be interested to see. So this is a very dangerous fight for Errol. So let's put it all this together. Let's figure it out. Why am I okay? Where are you going with this, Fluence? This is where I'm going with it. So sit back, hold tight, put the seatbelt on, strap on. Errol versus Terence is the fight everybody wants. Everyone is saying if Errol beats Ugas, why in the world should we not get the Errol versus Terence fight? Terence is a free agent. He doesn't have a fight lined up. Why should it not happen? Well, I'm here to tell you there's a man in the middle of all this who's saying, hey, guys, I'm still important. And that's who I was just talking about, Keith Thurman. And that's where we have this weird love. It's not a triangle. What's for a love square? I guess you can call it, quote unquote. Pause. That's where all this comes into play. Where we have Errol Spence and Ugas. They gotta win. They gotta fight each other. If Ugas beats Errol Spence, you don't think there's a goddamn rematch clause in there? You don't think there's a rematch clause in there for Errol? Come on, guys, right? And then now we have Terence Crawford looming. He's a free agent. He's talking about he'll fight Castano versus Charlo because he feels like Errol doesn't really want to fight. And then we have Thurman being that guy where why does Thurman come into play? Thurman comes into play because if Errol does beat Ugas, Errol's going to have to decide if he wants to stay in house with PBC and fight a guy like Thurman, who's technically a legend as well, and will add just as much to his resume as Terence Crawford. Or if him and PBC want to, go off the loop and think, it's worth the money and it's worth the promotional, the promotional dollars, the marketing to fight Terence Crawford, right? And we still don't know what promotional company he's going to sign with. So Keith Thurman is like the anomaly of all this. That's why it's such a weird thing going on. I'll throw this up here. Mini Male Black. This is your channel. Let these clowns try to control what you say on your channel. Salute, salute, salute. By the way, John, I appreciate your comment. Just appreciate you watching. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's a fact, man. We keep it rolling, baby, no matter what. So that's the weird thing that's kind of going on with all of this. Like a lot of people kind of want to talk about it kind of like in chops and things like that, but you guys don't understand how prominent of a win Keith Thurman versus Mario Barrios was for Keith Thurman. Because what Keith Thurman did was he said, hey, everybody out there who's so focused on Crawford, who's so focused on Ugas, who's so focused on Pacquiao after Pacquiao beat me, and everyone knows me as the guy who I'll fight once every 3 years. Before anyone was talking about Errol Spence, before anyone was talking about Terence Crawford, before anybody was talking about Ugas, Sean Porter, nigga, they was talking about me. Keith Thurman was like, do you understand? I was Errol Spence before Spence. I was Terence Crawford before Terence Crawford. I was Ugas before Ugas. Do you understand? I controlled the 147 division, the PBC motherfucking golden child before any of these people, before, YouTube media boxing channels started blowing up, before everyone started being so damn invested in the welterweight division. Thurman's like that. I ran this. Y'all don't remember what I did to Danny Garcia? When everyone was scared to fight Danny Garcia, y'all don't remember what I did to Sean Porter? When everyone thought Sean Porter was that guy, y'all don't remember? I did that back to back, bro. So that's what's going on right now. Keith Thurman messed everything up when it comes to us wanting to see Errol Spence. So this is basically me saying it's not Errol ducking, right? This is my opinion, of course. Everybody can have their opinion. What am I sweating over here? Oh, yeah, it's a little sweat. It's not Errol ducking, right? It's not Terence Crawford ducking. At the end of the day, there's always something that comes up. Either it's the promotional business side of the game, either it's a fighter got a lawsuit going on side of the game, or in this particular, aspect, both of those, including a legend in Keith Thurman coming back and saying, hey, I want to be part of all this. There's too much money being passed around. There's too many people talking about the best welterweight right now, and my name's not being mentioned. And I don't blame Thurman because his name should be mentioned. If you don't think Thurman is one of the top 147ers, if you don't think he's a Hall of Famer, if you don't think, this guy has a very good chance of beating Errol Spence, Ugas, or Terence Crawford, you're crazy. That means you don't know who Keith Thurman is. I'm not saying he beats these guys. I'm not saying that's not what I'm saying. But for you to say he doesn't deserve for his name to be put within all these names for him to get a chance, you're crazy. Right? So you have to understand, for the perspective of Errol and his team, they're looking at this and they're saying, okay, if I beat Ugas, I'm going to have Thurman there waiting for me, right? And I'm going to have Terence Crawford there waiting for me. Now, Terence Crawford has already kind of put it out there that he doesn't plan to be in the game that much longer. You can't blame him. Errol Spence is 32. Terence Crawford is 34, excuse me. So if you're Errol, say you think he's afraid of Terence Crawford, you could fight Keith Thurman after beating Ugas and then look to get the Terence Crawford fight next year when he's a year older. Wouldn't that be a benefit to Errol? And do you think people still want to tune into that fight? I'm just saying. As far as Terence Crawford could fight the winner of Charlo and Castano, too, whether it's Jermell Charlo or it's Brian Castano. He beats either one of them, he becomes undisputed at 154. You don't think he'd be willing to take that fight over just a silly 147 Errol Spence fight? Right? And he also has the option of fighting Keith Thurman. Because if you guys don't remember, on the Porter Way podcast, Keith Thurman said he has 3 fights that he really wants to have before he retires. First motherfucker he said was Keith Thurman. So everybody wants to fight Keith Thurman. I don't know where this is coming from. Because people didn't want to fight him before. I don't know where this is coming from. Everybody wants to fight Keith now. But he said his first, he said, I want Keith, I want Ugas, and if they can make it happen, I want Spence. He said those were the 3 fights he wants before he retires. Now, to me, when I heard that, I was like, okay, are you going to sign with PBC? Because I'm like, the only way you're going to get all 3 of those fights is with PBC, right? But then you guys also have to understand, too, he's calling for Brian Castano versus Charlo. That's a PBC fight. So I don't know, this might be breaking news here, but it seems like Terence Crawford is alluding to signing with PBC because every fight that he wants is under the PBC banner, unless somehow he goes into it with his own promotional company and he does like a co-promotional deal, which I can see happening. PBC probably still get the majority of the bread, but I can see it happening. But like basically, anyways, what I'm saying is all the fights that Terence Crawford has been stating that he wants before retiring is with PBC. Okay. And I'm just saying he has options to go a different route and continue to build his legacy. Like Errol Spence's legacy is not going to, his end all be all for him to have a great legacy is not going to be built off getting a fight with Terence Crawford. And that's what I keep trying to tell the boxing fans. It's the same thing with Canelo. Canelo's end all be all for his legacy has nothing to do with him getting a fight against Charlo or Benavidez. And it just blows my mind when I see people trying to make that statement. It blows my mind when I see people trying to go that route. Like, do you understand when these guys are retired and we just look at the paper and we look at the guys they fight? That's what we're going to measure. We're not going to measure for in the now. Oh, I think he should fight Jamal Charlo. Who has Jamal Charlo fought? What does he have that weight that puts more weight to Canelo's resume compared to a Bivol and Triple G? I don't care how you feel about their skill level. Look what they've accomplished. And when you look back at their resume, you're going to say, okay, you're going to respect them just as much if Triple G and Bivol's on there and Jamal Charlo ain't. Probably more if Bivol and Triple G's not there and Jamal Charlo's there. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So it's the same thing with Terence Crawford and Errol Spence, both ways. Errol Spence can fight Ugas, beat Ugas, after Ugas, fight Thurman, beat Thurman, and he's building his legacy, and we're going to respect it. It's not going to be built off the fact that he has to have that Terence Crawford fight, and it's the same that goes to Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford is already a 3-weight undisputed a champion. No one, like, that's rare. And then if he goes and he becomes undisputed at 154, that is a much bigger accomplishment than fighting Errol or Thurman or Ugas. And that's just a simple fact that a lot of us just don't want to, be okay with. But that's because he's not fighting our favorite fighter. That's where all the outrage comes. That's where everyone's like, oh my God. Terence Crawford, I hate him. The only way he's going to be good is if he fights my favorite fighter. That's how we are as boxing fans a lot of time. Rather than taking a step back, taking our emotions out of it, we're looking at it and we're saying, hey, if I was in his shoes, or if I was promoting him, or if I was in the business, what would I think the best move would be, not only for his legacy, but money-wise? Instead, we're like, well, he's not fighting my favorite fighter, so he's not that good. We don't do that here, Black Goose family. That's not what we on. We look at it unbiasedly, no emotion, look at the business, we respect all the fighters, and we have to understand the reason why these decisions are being made. And the reason why these decisions are being made is because there's other opportunities out there that we as boxing fans will enjoy just as much. We love to complain, we love to talk shit when it's made, we love to say this, and that. But on fight night, when that goddamn fight is happening, all of us is going to be in front of the TV like, I hope this motherfucker lose. Or yeah, or you're just gonna be in the middle. You know what I'm saying? But that's entertainment. That means you're doing a good job when it comes to marketing your product. You know what I'm saying? You want a little bit of everything. If you just got too many people who's fucking with you, you need to change it up. If you got too many people who hate you, you need to change it up. You want a little bit of everything. And that's all I be trying to get to y'all. That's all I want to get through to y'all when it comes to this, man. Boxing is a business. So don't come at these fighters because y'all don't understand how it goes. So just remember this. Because y'all remember, you know what I'm saying? The new thing I'm trying to follow by for the Fluence box. I'm trying to keep everything around 30 minutes. Obviously, I haven't done that good as of late, but we're at that point. But if y'all get anything from this, do not expect an Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford fight anytime soon. I even want to say this. I even got to go back to this right here. Because, I had to play devil's advocate at the time because I was like, God damn, Zen, you kind of touched the summary, the ending of my topic right here. So I had to say, no, I think they're going to fight. But honestly, what Zen says right here, I don't think the fight will ever happen. He's right. I'm not saying I agree with the sentiments. I do think it will happen because I think there's just too much money to be made. Because at the end of the day, if Spence beats Ugas, Spence beats Thurman, Terence Crawford, beats the winner of Brian Castano and Jermell Charlo, think about how big of a fight Crawford versus Spence is now in 2023, right? So we got to look at it like that as well. Maybe we need to build it up a little bit more. Who knows? We've been waiting forever. Like I said, Terence Crawford's 34. Spence is 32. How much time do we really have to wait? But we're talking about elite level athletes. We're talking about two fighters who are always in shape, always keeps their body right. You know what I'm saying? That never changes. And when you're talking about those type of fighters, you're talking about those type of athletes, their longevity is a lot different. Obviously, Crawford barely takes any damage. So obviously, we got to put that into play. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, the mind, the body's a lot younger than the age if you're doing the right things. But we have to accept the fact there is a possibility it may never happen. And if it doesn't, it will not affect either one of their legacies. It'll be a shoulda, woulda, coulda for, people of our generation when we're in our 40s and late 30s and things like that. We're like, man, it would have been crazy if we saw Terence Crawford, Errol Spence fight, fantasy fight. That's what it become. Fantasy fight. Who would have won? But we would still be putting them, if they continue on the trajectory that they are, we would still put them as greats because their legacy is not determined on each other. And that's just what it is. I'm tired of boxing fans trying to say that, otherwise, like, yeah, in order for them to be great or to prove they're the best, they got to fight each other. Let's come on, stop the cap. I know Errol might be your favorite fighter. I know Terence might be your favorite fighter, but that's not the case. Okay. So I'm not going to be too long with it. I'm going to get up out of here, man. I want to go ahead, give y'all, my perspective on that, my opinion on this. I'm going to show this one more time just for the people. I don't know if you're still up in here, John. He said, nice, fresh topic, Spence Crawford with the laugh. I hope y'all rewatch this because it definitely was a goddamn fresh topic because ain't nobody covering it the way I just covered it. Ain't anyone talking that shit the way I just talked it. I don't care. I know it for a fact. I be in them motherfucking channels and stuff like that. Ain't nobody giving it to y'all the way I'm giving it to y'all. So if I was y'all, I would rewatch this like a million times so y'all can start understanding how it's going on. I'm playing with y'all. Nothing but love, though, for real. I'm going to get up out of here, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Salute, salutations. I appreciate everybody who hopped into the live tonight. Fluence Boxing at its finest. Wanted to give you just my perspective and opinion on the whole Terence Crawford, Errol Spence, Keith Thurman, Ugas type shit going on. There was reports today that Errol Spence was kind of complimenting Thurman, so people started speculating Thurman was going to be next. So I was like, why not? So everyone who's in here too, by the way, make sure y'all look out. Probably in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to be going live again with Zen. We're going to be doing Fluence Zen tonight, so make sure you guys join us for that. Also, check out the community board. I got topics up in there for you guys to answer, for you guys to go in, put your opinions on it. I love to hear from y'all. I always update that every day, so always check that out. Look out for the other content that I got dropping for y'all. Check out the shorts. Make sure you guys are staying healthy. Health is wealth. Make sure you're doing something, keeping your body right. I'll be encouraging that as well on the YouTube channel from now on. And it's just nothing but positivity. However I can promote positivity, blessings, you know what I'm saying? Keep everything flowing good. That's when I'm on the journey, you know what I'm saying? So before I get up out of here, please, y'all, hit that like button if you guys haven't hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're not part of the family, because that's very important. And then also notification gang and comment below, man. When this thing is over and you watch it, you disagree with anything, like my guy John disagreed with me on the topic. Instead of putting it in the chat, put it in the comment section for me, okay? Algorithm. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to build the hell out of the channel this year. So I need y'all to comment whether you hate me, love me, feeling different. I don't care. Let me hear from y'all. So I'm going to get up out of here. Look out for a little bit later. We're going to be live for Fluences in. Nothing but love, nothing but respect. Hopefully y'all Monday is going as good as mine. If not, it's going to get better. I promise you that. I'm out.